What's up, everybody? It is good to see you all. It's been a little while since my last session, so pretty excited to be back. This episode today is going to be all about a new capability in the Appian platform that I am personally pretty excited about, and this capability is called Agent Studio. So what Agent Studio does is really turn up the juice on our agentic capabilities in the Appian platform. And as you know, Appian already does custom agents very well. I've got some previous content on that in a prior episode, but with Agent Studio, what we're talking about is agents with greater autonomy and contextual awareness. Now, I know that the word agents gets thrown around a lot these days. You know, it seems like that term is everywhere. Everyone's talking about agents this, agents that. You know, should we be excited about these agents? Should we be scared of these agents? What does this word agents even really mean? So, before I show you Agent Studio in action, let's clear this up a bit. The agents that we're talking about here, they have a specific role, they've got specific tools, and they have a specific task. And then they get to decide how to get there. You know, we use our framework of process in the Appian platform to provide structure. We give them knowledge, we give them actions that they can take, and then they can autonomously decide how to meet the goal that we provide for them. Now, agents can really operate at a number of different levels of autonomy. And so, when I'm saying autonomy, what I mean by that is kind of the agency that these agents have to make their own decisions, their decision-making power, if you will. So, you know, everything that you see on this slide here, Appian can support, this whole range of agent autonomy, but Agent Studio lives in the green part of this spectrum. So effectively, the agents we're talking about are autonomously defining a multi-step plan, they're executing it, and they can even work together in different roles, so we can have multi-agent situations. Now, where Appian really brings some unique flavor to the situation is by way of our best-in-class process engine. So, you know, having process as part of the situation means that even though your agent is autonomous, you can decide where you want to avoid autonomy and provide structure. So you can have the flexibility of the AI agent where you want it, but then the control of process where you need it. And another factor that makes these agents so powerful is the fact that the same objects that you use to build Appian applications are the tools that the agent uses to meet its goals. So these tools can be part of your data fabric, or they can be one of your process workflows, or they can be some of your existing business logic. You know, and with the power of Appian process, this means an agent can easily make the decision to loop in a human as needed. But, as usual, I've spent more time in the slides than I had hoped to spend, so let's get on over to our live demo. Alright, so here we are on the home page of Agent Studio. As you can see, we can have multiple agents in a single system right here. Again, they can interact with your applications, they can interact with each other. What we're going to be looking at here is Patient Care Agent today. This is an agent that acts essentially as a front desk worker at a clinic. So it can answer questions about that clinic, it can help pick doctors, schedule appointments, you know, loop in doctors as needed. So let's go ahead and see how it is configured. We'll go ahead and click on this guy. So we can see we've got inputs on the left. This is basically the variables that we expect when we're kicking off the agent. Then in the middle, we've got its core configuration. So a name, a description, and then most importantly, a goal and instruction. So this is all the context that it needs in order to do its job. All the rules it needs to follow, all of the tasks it might expect to need to be able to do, and then below that we have our tools. And again, these are your Appian objects. They can point to your data fabric, they can point to your business logic. As you can see, we've got our patient data right here, so we can look up patients. We've got a document that has information about the clinic. We've got a business rule that allows us to check the availability of a physician, and then finally an action where we can schedule an appointment. Alright, let's go ahead and see this agent in action. So here we are with our secure messaging view, where our patient can send a message essentially to the front desk of the clinic. We got a bunch of existing threads over here. We can see the subject of those threads, but let's go ahead and start a new one. So we'll go to start new thread. We'll go down here and paste a message. So I'm a new patient. I've got some questions. What are your hours? I've got some symptoms, some insomnia. Can you help me choose a doctor? If so, what is their availability over a specific time frame? We're going to say over the next 2 weeks. So a number of different questions asked in a single shot here. And when I click this send message button, what has just happened is it's going to kick off a process that sends this off to the agent. And so now the agent is going to perform its tasks, but this does not happen in a black box. So let's go back over to our agent view, and we can go over to monitor, and we'll see at the top of the monitor view we have a request that is processing. So we will open this request up, and we'll be able to see all of the steps that it takes. So we're now waiting for the first step to occur. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to retrieve the hours of operation and physician information to answer the patient's questions. So we can look here and see its reasoning to understand why it did that first step. And now it has pulled a document for us, and it's going to take that document and try to use it to answer the questions. This is the information that we have about the clinic. So it's analyzed the document, and we can open up the details to see what it has done here to answer the questions. So it needs to analyze the hours of operation and physician information. Here's the hours, here's our physicians, and so it's going to use that to answer the question. Now it needs to retrieve today's date because it needs to understand what the next 2 weeks means. So here is our today's date. It's going to use that in order to check the availability for the physician. It's now checked the availability for the physician it's chosen successfully. So we can see the details. It's looked for Dr. Nakamura's availability for the next 2 weeks, and here are the available appointments that have been returned. And so the final step, it's going to complete the answer to the patient's questions in a well-formed answer that is professionally written. So we can see over here on the right is the value of the outbound response. That's the message that's going to go back to the user. And we can see that it has updated that variable, and now the patient care agent is done processing. So the message should be available for our patient. So here we are back at our secure messaging view for the patient. We can see that there is a response to our inbound message. And so we can see in this response, all of our questions have been answered by the agent. We have our clinic hours right here. We have a doctor that has been recommended for insomnia. That's Dr. Liam Nakamura. We also have Dr. Nakamura's availability right here for the next 2 weeks as requested. So we have a well-formatted list of days and times for Dr. Nakamura that we can schedule appointments. And we also have some additional details here for the patient if they are interested in any of that. So let's go ahead and put a response in here. So we'll just say, okay, great, but does he take my insurance? If so, let's schedule on 7/1. And so when we send that message, it will still have this situational awareness of the thread. And it is going to be able to perform all of the tasks necessary to answer the additional question and schedule the appointment. So let's see what that looks like in the monitoring view. So first, it's going to look at the thread history so it can understand what has taken place inside of this conversation so far. So now we're looking at our conversation history so we can see what has already happened. We can take a look at the details, and it can show us all of the messages that have already transpired in this particular conversation so the AI can intelligently respond to the next message. Now it's going to check the insurance information by loading information from the patient data. So it's going to be looking into our data fabric to get that information about the patient, and it has done that data query successfully. And so we can see down here we have Aetna as the patient information for this particular patient. Now we need to check if Dr. Nakamura accepts Aetna insurance. We've now analyzed the provided documents. We can see the details. And so now we're just going to make sure as a final check that Dr. Nakamura has availability on July 1st. And again, we can see the details for our availability check on that specific day. Now we're going to schedule the appointment as requested by the patient. So we're calling our schedule appointment process with all of the necessary details to schedule the appointment. That process has been completed, and now the appointment has been scheduled. So all of the necessary steps for scheduling an appointment, like notifying and updating databases, all of that is handled with the structure of process. Again, we can see over here on the right the response that has been sent to the patient based on all of the activity that's taken place. And now our patient care agent is done processing again. All right, so here we are back at our messaging. We can see that there is a response to our message. We can see we also have a notification here that's letting us know that an appointment has been scheduled with Dr. Nakamura. We have the details of the appointment, also letting us know that Dr. Nakamura, because the clinic takes Aetna insurance, he is likely to as well, but making sure that it is confirmed. And then we have a little bit of details about what to do when arriving for the appointment. So a great answer. The agent has handled all of the tasks necessary, and it's done a great job. So I know that was a bit of a long one, but I wanted you to get a full idea of what Agent Studio is capable of. Again, this is about injecting autonomy into your applications, but doing it with precision. So, in this example, we saw the agent could make decisions about how to handle the inbound task, but when it came time to schedule the appointment, that was handled by a process to make sure that all steps were performed exactly the same each time. So we get the flexibility of AI, but grounded with the structure of process. Anyway, that is Agent Studio, and that's it for me. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.